All right, I think we're good. Give the Twitch stream a second to catch up with us, just to confirm. So this is Refactor Saturday. It's day 3 of 3 for the state pattern. And we're going to be looking at what's starting to become a pretty substantial effort to make a game. Mainly looking at the interaction between the player and the game master, or the hive mind, right? That controller that's going to tell you if your actions were successful. You do all the delegation, do all the mediation for those things. And we decided we wanted to put the state pattern closer to the upper levels of the API. So we're just going to reinforce whether that was a good idea, and also see where else we might be able to do some state checking for the player. All right. So, inside of our hive mind, let's go there. And then we ask the sender to execute. Let's go with that. Nope, not there. Base player. Okay, so we have the beginnings of our algorithm for deciding when things would be appropriate. So if a request for fighting came in, which would normally return back a double value that you then apply to the target. So you would say, I would like to attack this target. The hive mind would say, okay, let's roll and see what you attack for based off of your stats and your class. Once I get that back, I'll go ahead and return it. I'll go ahead and apply it to the target, and the target will calculate how much damage they actually take based off of their armor, class, level, whatever have you. So we're state checking to see if we're in the appropriate state. So here, if we are disabled, we're going to say that we're unable to fight and return back a game response was unsuccessful and a specialized error message. So one of the first problems we have with this algorithm is that for every step in our switch statement, we'd be doing multiple if-elses. Else if actor state dot name was equal to whatever. That's our first kind of pain point. In that, do we want to do this 4 different times for every action? We probably don't. And I'm not even saying I've got a good answer for that right now. It's such a clear point of refactoring. It's good to make note of these when we see them and kind of reinforce this. Hey, train your brain. This is a red flag. All right. And the second thing is that we're checking against a string. So our states aren't strongly typed. And we don't necessarily need to do that, but let's see why we're doing it. Okay, so we don't actually have to do the magic string. We're doing this kind of funky enum pattern kind of hack where we're able to use a class in a strongly typed way. It's a good alternative when you need something that's going to have a bit of functionality attached to it, but you still want to code something that's strongly typed. So we just threw in dead there, but because this is a static, we can just as easily say when this actor state, or its actor state is equal to actor, and you see that we're getting actor state again, but what we want is down here. Actor states that alive, angry, dead, depressed. Which I can't harp on this enough because it's so useful to be able to get this kind of enum type strong declaration, but have all of the benefits of a class. So we're just going to say if that state is equal to actor state stuff disabled. So that's thankfully gotten rid of one of our refactor pain points. And it already looks nicer. It already looks more streamlined. But I still don't want to do this, right? I don't want to keep saying, well, if they're angry, they do something else. I don't want to do this 4 more times. So let's put that in the back of our brain for a second. Or we look at where we might be able to implement other state checking. Hey, good morning, Eshkatite. Hope you're doing well. All right, so the other place I'm going to implement state checking is going to be here. This is inside the hive mind. When or I'd like to anyway, we're to see how close I get to this. We might not have what we need. It'd be nice for the hive mind to check whether the player was alive or dead, or to do something that might indicate other actions. So, I'm sorry, hang on. I need 1 minute. My dog is crying quite loudly. All right. So, the only issue we're going to run into here is that inside the hive mind, we really only know about the iGame object. So we don't have access to all those really nice player states or actor states. If we see that as a true limitation of the framework, we might want to take actor states and move them down a level so that we can always have access to them. The problem with that's going to be we've got states that don't really apply to objects, for example. So inside my actor states, well, an inventory item or a game object of any kind so let's just say a pot, right, or a door, something inanimate, would never be drunk, right? It'd never be like, hey, go home, door, you're drunk. It would never be that. So we don't want to necessarily give the option for it. It's confusing. So this is, as the application gets complex and as things get more robust and overlappy, you will find constraints that call for some hard decisions. So, let's see. Instead of my solution, instead of my game object states, I've got in play and out of play. So I can check for those in my hive mind pretty easily, since everything in the game can either be intact or destroyed, right? So everything has hit points. So you can destroy a pot and it's out of play. Um, or you can kill a player and it's out of play. So let's do that. So here, way up here, let's do this. Quick if statement. If sender dot game object state is equal to game object state dot out of play, do something. We're just going to return a message, I think, a response. Else, if target dot game object state is equal to game object states dot out of play. Let's do some other things, right? So we already have access to a response, and we want to do response dot, let's just say what's successful equals false. Response dot, oh, and I'm getting a red squiggly line here because I never instantiated or initialized response. So I'm going to do response equals new game response. And then I'm getting a green squiggly here because it wants me to use the object initializer, which I might do, but I like to, sometimes I do leverage this resharper kind of crutch where I like to write things out sometimes just to kind of think my way through it, and then let resharper do it the optimized way. It can be a bit more difficult to think through when you're writing an optimized state. Okay, so message equals sorry, blank is out of play. Hey Syntax, good morning. Glad you could stop by. I know it's early on a Saturday. It's good to have you here. Okay, so I just want to say, hey, blank is out of play. So sender dot name is out of play. And we can let resharper do its magic. And if the target is out of play, we can just say response equals new game response. Syntax says they're from Holland. It's 3 p.m. there. That was the hope of doing an 8:45 a.m. on Saturday, was to try to give some other people in different time zones the ability to come on in. So I'm glad to see that's working. Okay, and then message, I'm just going to do the same thing, only to make a target. And so you can see at the end of this method we're returning the response. So we can actually shortcut this, and we can say if the sender game object state is equal to out of play, just return a new game response.